Hi, this is Kathleen from Bailey Academy, mom of 5, homeschooling 2 of them, ages 11 and 14. I just graduated one a couple days ago. Today we're talking 5 essential homeschool tips for high school success. And specifically, this is part of a collab about homeschool tips in general, hosted by Davine at Common the Chaos Homeschool and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. And so if you aren't familiar with how collabs work, a bunch of homeschool YouTubers are going to share about a similar topic in our own videos, and then we link to the playlist so you can watch my video, and then at the end you can click on the playlist in the description and go check out everybody else's video. And they're all about homeschool tips, but they might be about different things. Mine is about high school success. Alright, so don't forget to check for the playlist. Alright, so I have 5 essential tips, and then at the end I'll give you some resources that I'll be linking in the description as well. Number 1, plan ahead of time if possible. So if your child is already in high school, obviously it's a little late for that, but I'll talk about that in a second. But if your child has not reached high school level yet, you want to plan as early as possible. I don't mean like kindergarten, I just mean like grade 6 at least. You want to map out how credits are going to work, make sure you know what any graduation requirements might be in your place that you live, any long-term goals, and even if you don't have requirements, like here in Ontario we don't have requirements for homeschooling, let alone for graduating high school homeschooling, but that doesn't mean you don't have your own requirements. So you need to talk with your spouse and like figure out what do you want your child to know or have accomplished, or how many credits of different classes are they going to have to graduate. So you want to know all that sort of thing. You need to, the planning reduces stress and helps keep everyone on track. So you're not just at the end thinking, oh, we only did 2 science credits, and I didn't realize that we needed to have 3, and now you have to add on extra classes. So planning ahead, at least by grade 6, to get started. I'm not saying you have to have everything in place by grade 6, but grade 6 you should at least be like thinking ahead to high school. And then by grade 7 making some decisions, and then by grade 8 finalizing those decisions, is my opinion. Number 2, include your high schooler in the planning process as much as possible. Okay, so involving the teens in choosing their courses, in setting goals, and organizing their schedules, and both increases their motivation for doing said work and also taking ownership of their education. So as the children get older, if you're homeschooling pre-K and kindergarten, of course you're going to do most of this, if not all of the guiding them. This is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to be done, just go get out your scissors, and you need to tell them everything, like go get your scissors, go get your markers, or use the red marker on this part, that sort of thing. Of course, depending on how not strict, but how if you're unschooling, this may not fully apply for you, but some of it does. But as the children get older, they get more independence and they start doing things on their own, and that's important. You don't want to be doing everything for them. Now, that said, if your children have learning challenges or like neurodivergence and other little things like that, of course they're going to need more help than someone else their age who maybe is completely, like somebody in grade 6 might be completely independent, or they may still need lots of help, or be somewhere in between. But in general, involving your high schooler as much as possible. So, for example, I did a video, which I will link in the resources below, that I didn't really share what we did for the meeting, but I made some notes, and I did a meeting with my rising grade 9 to discuss a couple months ago sort of where he was thinking, what's he thinking about his future, what things does he like to do, what things does he not like to do, what kind of learning would he prefer? Do he prefer to watch videos, or more reading, or more hands-on, like that kind of thing. And so it helped him, a lot of things he was like, I don't know, but I just kind of guided him, and anything that he could tell me that would be helpful, because he's more likely to do the work if it's something not he wants to learn, or if it's something he has to learn but doesn't want to learn, at least it's maybe in a type of learning that he prefers. Number 3, prepare your homeschooler for high school with the Homeschool High School Prep Pack. Alright, now this is a product that I make and sell, so this is only a little bit of an advertisement, but I'll be going through this. So I made this program, I'll link it below as well. Here's day 1, this is about how long it is, and it's just something that I made for like a 1 week, You know, when you go into grade 9 in public school, you go to orientation. That's it. You go to grade 9 orientation. So this is like a grade 9 orientation. Now, if your child is already in school, high school, you can still do it. And you don't have to do it at the end of the school year. You can do it at the beginning of grade 9. But it's up to you. But it includes things like every day has typical activities, a discussion prompt. There's worksheets to go with it. So, for example, my son learned about credits and transcripts. And we learned about like what is required or what I require in our area. He wrote a letter to his grade 12 self, which we saved for obviously grade 12. We learned what transcripts were. He learned, I got a sample transcript to show. I'm just trying to tell you some of the things. We talked about the similarities and differences between high school and elementary school, or in some places it might be middle school, but for us it's called elementary school. So I love his similarities. It's still school. But, you know, he doesn't like school very much. And then the getting organized page talks about self-paced and deadline-driven work and school structures, how to use a planner and planner tips, note-taking tips, mindset matters, making a vision board, owning your education, and electives that you can choose from, kind of having a saying in that, and outside of schoolwork. And at the end there is a certificate. So I recommend doing that if you have a rising grade 9 before they start grade 9, or if you have younger children, saving it for them to use as they get older. Or if you have a grade 9 who's like somebody who's rising grade 10, you could still do it. It still gives them some valuable information, but it's generally designed for people going into grade 9. All right, that was number 3. So number 4, encourage independence even if you don't have more children. All right, if you have a large family, of course, independence is going to be even more important, because how can you sit there and teach, you know, one-on-one with 9 children? You know, you can, but I mean, like, that's a lot of work and you have other things to do. So as the older kids get older, of course, like I said, they start doing some independent work where you can work with the younger kids because the older ones are doing it. However, even if you only have one child and that's a high schooler, they still need to learn independence, because let's be real, in the adult world, you have to do things a lot of time on your own or figure them out on your own, especially like in the workplace. They're not going to tell you, they give you the instructions of how to do basic stuff at work, but they expect you to, you know, be like, oh, that table needs cleaning and I'm a cleaner, I should clean it. That's like, what do you call that? It's initiation. No, is that it? Yeah, you initiate doing the work and you figure the things out like that. So encourage your independence. Explain why independent study habits are essential for success in high school and beyond. Offer examples like self-paced assignments or managing a personal calendar. So if your child hasn't had a planner or calendar on their own, now high school, they definitely should. And the thing that I said, the prep, talks about, like I said, planner tips. Number 5, keep records and grades. Okay, so some places require grades and records, and some places don't. But in high school, I generally think that you should keep some records, because if their child, even if they're sure they don't want to go to college or university, if one day, even when they're 70, they want to, they still need to have that transcript. They still need to have some records of school. So you definitely want to keep records, and you do want to keep grades. Even if you're unschooling, you don't have to have tests that give you grades or like written work. It can be, you know, you can give them grades based on, you know, what they've been doing on their own, but I think you should have something. So it's important to maintain accurate records, transcripts, and grades, and you don't want to do what I started doing with my last child, which was starting it and then keep putting it off and keep putting it off and keep putting it off, and then you have to sit there and remember everything. So with this upcoming high schooler, I want to write everything down immediately. You also want, like, there might be future college, but there might not be, but there might be apprenticeships or other things like that, or job requirements that they want to know certain things. And review and update your records regularly. So those are my 5 essential homeschool tips for high school success. I'm going to share in the description the link to my program, but also a video that I did earlier on planning with my teen, and also a bunch of links to some free planning sheets that I've used over the years that I like to have in my homeschool binder, so that you can find something for free. And if there's paid options too, and I mean, those might be better, but for now, to get you started, some free resources would be helpful. Also in the description, like I said, will be at the beginning, will be the link to the playlist, so you can see what everybody else is talking about their homeschool tips. Thank you for listening. If you got this far, I hope it was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't, as I got more content coming. Bye.